Hey, what's going on? In today's video, I want to talk about this book, Happy Money by Ken Honda. It says the Japanese art of making peace with your money. And Ken Honda, he's Japan's best-selling Zen millionaire. And you can see on my copy of the book, I have a $100 bill taped on it. And it says, "Thank you for all the money I've been given throughout my life." And I got this $100 bill practice with that note from another book that I mentioned on this channel called Magic by the person that wrote The Secret. Rhonda is her name. And just recently, I watched an interview with Ken Honda and Lewis Howe on Lewis's podcast, The School of Greatness. And it was such a great refresher on the contents of this book because I read this book probably a couple years ago now, and I probably forgot a lot of the concepts, and watching that podcast interview recently was just such a great refresher on some of the principles that Ken talks about. And the couple main things that he talks about is really appreciating money when it comes in and when it goes out. So anytime you get paid, you say thank you to the money. And then anytime you pay your bills or anytime money leaves, you also say thank you for the services that you're able to buy with that money. And a big thing is, a lot of people complain about their bills or their electricity or something like that. But if you think about it, because of the people who built the power plants and electricians that built the power lines and all the people involved to bring you electricity, you should be happy to pay your bills, and you should be thankful for the people who put in all that work so that we can flip a switch and have light, and we can charge our computers, and we can use our fridge. You know what I mean? So it's such a nice reframe around your relationship with money, and money's just such a sensitive topic too, right? No one likes to talk about it. No one likes to share their feelings around it. Everyone usually has a love-hate relationship with money. And that podcast really highlighted quite a few points that it was good for me to remember. And that was one of them. Just always remember to say thank you anytime money comes in and anytime money goes out. Also realize that money needs to flow. Money is like energy, right? And energy needs to flow. So if you hoard your money too much and you're not willing to give some away, or you're not willing to spend money on yourself or spend money for someone else, then Ken talks about it almost being like a stagnant pool of water, right? It's just going to get gross and mucky, and algae is going to grow on it, and it's just not going to be healthy. Whereas money needs to flow. It needs to come in and it needs to go out so that more money can come in. So that was another concept that he talked about that was just a nice refresher from the book. And then he also mentions there's different money types and money personalities, which I found really interesting. One of them is the money maker, right? So those are usually entrepreneurs or business people who are always focused on making more money. And then there's people who are spenders. So anytime money comes in, they just like to spend it. And then there's people who are savers. And those are the people who like to just really hoard money, and they don't like to let money leave. And what's interesting too is he talked about how savers, usually there's a correlation between that type of money personality and constipation, their physical health gets impacted by that because they're not able to let go, because they just keep hoarding, right? So that was a cool little distinction that he mentioned, where how money can relate to your health. So yeah, recently I've just been more aware of my consciousness around money and having different reminders around my workplace and my desk. I have a few silver coins around my desk. I have a few different reminders that money is there and it's available. This book that I have right here, I put it behind my laptop and my second screen, so it kind of peeks through in the middle. And when I'm working, I see this book staring back at me, and then I also see that $100 bill with the affirmation, thank you for all the money I've been given throughout my life, staring back at me. So sometimes when I take a break, I'll just take a look at that and I just repeat that affirmation, and it just allows me to have a healthier relationship with money. Because if you think about money as a person, and again, this is something that Ken was talking about, like, how would that relationship be with you and that person? For most people, if they're stressed about money, or they are frustrated about money, or they're shameful about money, or guilty, or whatever, then that person's not going to want to be around you. Whereas if you're appreciative and happy around money, and you use money as a tool to do fun things and to give back, then that type of person would want to be around you. So yeah, that's I highly recommend checking out that podcast. If you just YouTube Ken, Honda, and Lewis Howe, you can check out that podcast. I highly recommend checking out this book as well. I think it's just such good mindset principles around money that everyone can use. And he doesn't talk about like how to make $1 million or $10 million or how to become a billionaire. He really talks about how to be at peace with your relationship to money, and how you can just be satisfied with where you're at and have enough, whereas a lot of people just keep wanting to get more and more and more. Another thing that he wants to talk about that really hit home was having relationships with people that are in good standing. So even if you lost everything, if you have a ton of friends and a ton of people who know, like, and support you, then you're not worried, because you can rely on them. You can crash at their place. They can maybe loan you some money to help you get back on your feet, and you can start over again. Whereas if someone is super focused on money, and then they're neglecting all the relationships, and all they do is make more money, and then they don't have any social life, or they're rude to people, or they screw someone over because of money, then when something happens and they lose it all, then they have no one to fall back on. So that's a key thing too, right? It's not just about money, right? It's not just about having a certain amount in your bank account. It's really having peace of mind, and money is one part of it. But once you heal your relationship with money, then that allows more money to flow through. So I hope that helps. Again, highly recommend checking out this book. Check out any video from Ken Honda on YouTube. I feel like he's like a modern day Buddha. He kind of looks a bit like a modern day Buddha if you kind of look at his face, and he's just so zenned out, which is super cool as well. But I think the principles that he teaches are really foundational, and I think that's gonna help anyone make more money if that's what you really want to do. So yeah, check out that book, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.